Today we're going to call our little chat, Be Your Own Advocate. It's sort of a little guide on how to navigate your insurance, if you will. Whether you're a new amputee or somebody who's been around the block a few times, dealt with multiple clinics, multiple insurance companies, this is still information that anybody can glean a little bit of wisdom from. So everybody's in a different situation. Unfortunately, I'm sure there are people out there who do not have insurance. I'm sure there are people out there who have amazing insurance. Wherever you land on that spectrum, it's very important to learn all you can about your insurance company, especially when it comes to durable medical equipment. Now, everybody's policy is going to be different, but I strongly recommend you learn as much as you can. Look at the documents you have received. If you have none, get online, check out your insurance company's website, or be old-fashioned and use one of those telephone things and actually give them a call. It's very important to know several things. A couple of those are, what is your in and out of network, okay? You want to know this because you can't just go to any clinic and get a device made. You want to check with your insurance provider to make sure that they are contracted with your prosthetic clinic. Or you can do it in reverse. You can also check with your prosthetic clinic and say, hey, are you in network with, this insurance company? Typically, one of the best things to do is search around, and if you have a clinic in mind you would like to go to, call your insurance company, ask about them, see if they are in network. If not, ask why, and you can even ask to see if it's possible to get an exception made to get coverage at a clinic that may not necessarily be in your insurance network. There are rare cases where an insurance company will say, okay, that clinic may not be in our insurance, but because you're maybe too far away from another clinic, they will allow you to go get services there. So that's a good thing to know, who is in your network and who is not. Another huge thing you're going to want to pay attention to is what is your deductible, because depending on the medical bills you have paid throughout the year, that deductible is usually ultimately going to be your out-of-pocket cost on a prosthetic device. This can vary. As I've said, everybody's insurance is different. Some people have no deductible. Unfortunately, there are people who have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in their deductible, so keep that in mind as well. So here's how it all works. You have met with your surgeon, maybe your physiatrist, and they say, okay, you're doing great. It's time for you to go and start the process of getting your first prosthetic device. What's going to happen is that doctor is going to write you a prescription. This is usually a very vague prescription, maybe saying something to the effect of below knee prosthetic device. Very vague. From there, your prosthetist will take that prescription, meet with you, sort of analyze your needs, talk about your K level, and come up with a treatment plan to decide what sort of components are best for you and your lifestyle. This gives your prosthetist an idea of what sort of device they're going to build for you, what components they're going to use to best, get you back to your activity level. Once this is known, your prosthetist will put together sort of a list of billing codes, if you will. Don't be confused. Basically, this is a list of every little individual item that's involved with the leg and the fabrication of it. And each of these little things has a code attached for billing purposes that the insurance company looks at. So your prosthetist will sort of go over things and decide these are what we're going to use in the fabrication of your leg. They'll make that list, which is basically sort of a bill. They'll send that to your insurance company. The insurance company will then review this, and they will either approve or deny. And this is very important. If your prosthetist is recommending components that are way outside your ability level, there's a chance that your insurance company will not approve those components. However, if your prosthetist, knows your abilities well and recommends suitable components for your activity level, typically the insurance company will not deny you, especially if it's a medical necessity. Once your insurance company receives this information from your prosthetist, they'll review things and then either approve or deny your claim. If it is denied, this is where it becomes very important to be your own advocate. Just because they deny you the first time does not mean you are stuck and you can't move forward. There is always the right to appeal. Typically, this can be a long and drawn-out process. Nobody likes it, but you can do this. What you can do is call your insurance company, ask them to reopen and reevaluate the determination and see if there is something they may have missed. You can also go back and meet with your doctor to make sure that your charts or your doctor's notes firmly support that your activity level requires the components your prosthetist is recommending in the fabrication of your device. So if the insurance company says no, don't think of it as an end-all. Appeal. Keep appealing until you have run out of options. And even when that happens, you can still look up your state's Department of Insurance and file complaints or appeals with them to basically take it to another level. So you're never totally out of luck. There are always appeals and options and things like that. Of course, we don't want you to get denied. In a perfect world, the insurance company is going to review everything and say, okay, this is good to go. We're going to approve your leg. If that's the case, your prosthetist will receive the approval. That's basically like the go-ahead. The insurance company is saying, okay, we see what components you're going to use. We see what you're going to build. Go ahead. We'll pay for that when we're done. Prosthetic legs are not cheap. That's why a pre-authorization is required. Insurance won't just let a prosthetist build you a leg and send them a bill. The insurance company wants to know exactly what's being billed and what they will be paying for prior to any work even beginning. So the whole be your own advocate thing is very important. Sometimes this can be a lengthy process. You can be stuck in limbo waiting. You can call your prosthetist and say, hey, did we hear back? Is the pre-authorization approved yet? Your prosthetist may not always know that. Some clinics do have people that work in the clinic as a patient advocate, if you will, who are very good at staying on point and checking into where your pre-authorization request is at. Some clinics are a little more short-staffed and don't necessarily have that much time. Being your own advocate is very important because you have every right to call your insurance company and say, hey, it is my understanding that my clinic submitted this to you on this day, and I'm calling because I want to know what is the status of my authorization. Usually they should be able to give you some sort of an answer, probably nothing firm right there, but typically if you call to ask, it will help expedite things. Again, I can't say that's going to be true in every case, but oftentimes if you call the insurance company to put some fire underneath them, they will move a little more quickly. So please keep that in mind. Being your own advocate is everything, from contacting your doctor about a prescription to contacting your clinic to making sure they got the prescription and wrote up their notes and then submitted the pre-authorization forms, to then calling the insurance to make sure they received, reviewed, and where they're at as far as review of your pre-authorization. So all things considered, let's say that you've been through the process and maybe it didn't take a long time, you got your pre-authorization, things are looking good, it's time to begin the process of building your new device. You'll be seeing your clinician who will begin the casting and fabrication and fitting process. Every clinic operates a little different, but eventually you will go through a check socket and come to a point where you will be delivered a definitive device and be asked to sign off on your treatment. Do not sign off until you are completely happy with the treatment you have received. Keep in mind that when you sign your name, you are basically saying, okay, I'm happy with this leg. You go ahead and bill my insurance company. Once you sign, that leg is yours, and if things are not 100% satisfactory at this point, you may be out of options. So it's very important that you work very closely with your prosthetist to ensure that your device is satisfactory before you sign off, essentially giving them permission to bill your insurance company. Once billed, it's very difficult to get a new leg made just because you signed off. Typically, it takes time or a medical necessity to justify the fabrication of a new device. So things to keep in mind. Being your own advocate is very important. I know that was a lot of information in a very short amount of time. Hopefully this is old news to most of you, but for the new amputee out there, this is very important stuff that you're going to want to learn. So just to review, it starts with a prescription that can come from your physiatrist. It can come from your surgeon. It can come from your family's general practitioner The prescription is very vague. From there, your prosthetist will sort of make a more detailed list of components, parts, and the associated L codes that are basically billing. They will then submit that to your insurance company, who will then approve or deny. And at any time throughout this process, you need to get involved. The more you sit and wait, the less you take on in your own hands, the longer it's likely to take. You have every right to make phone calls, to ask questions, and ask for answers. So please, next time you are going through this situation where you're wondering what's going on and you feel like you're stuck in limbo and you just want a leg made, pick up the phone, make some phone calls. You have every option to go out there and get the answers you deserve and the treatment you deserve. So with that said, thank you very much for tuning in. Rush Life.